Hi, I'm Debbie and welcome to Book and BuJo. I'm so glad that you've joined me today for my next round of TBRopoly. To start, let's just do a quick recap of how to play TBRopoly. To start with, I find out if I need a reward or a punishment, so that's whether I completed my TBR from the month before or not. And then I decide, is this going to be a heavy reading month or a light reading month? So I have an 8, a 10, a 12, and a 20-sided die, depending on how things are going for that month. Most months I roll my 8 or my 10-sided die. But if I know there's a month with some pretty big readathons happening, then I will go for my 12 or my 20. Since this is a magical readathon month, I will be rolling my 20 in August. For each normal roll, I roll 2 6-sided die, and if I get doubles, that means I have to add another book to my TBR. And then at the very beginning, so every January, I start at go, and then I just keep going until I have completed the number of rolls that I rolled for how many books I will be reading. And then from wherever I stop from the month before, which from July was here, this is where I start for my next month. And then as I go through the board, if I land on a square that doesn't have anything in it, then I go by whatever the numbers on my die. So if I get a 3 and a 1, that's a 4, so that's an even number. Then I draw one of my even cards. If it was a 5, then that would be an odd number, and I would draw one of my odd cards. If I land on the spot that says series, I would draw one of my series cards. And I have a D20, so I do have a D20 reading list in my bullet journal. And if I land on that space, then I roll my D20 die and I pick from that list that I have in my bullet journal. And then I also have a non-reading prompt, which I have cards for that too. And I have different prompts on here, like watching a movie or doing some watercoloring or baking or something fun like that that is not reading, although sometimes I can listen to an audiobook or something while I'm doing whatever the item is. Could be listening to a podcast or spa day, something like that. And then I have a booktuber rec. I also have a NetGalley, so I would try and get a book from my NetGalley list. Another non-reading, my A to Z challenge, so trying to read a book from every letter of the alphabet. I also have a nonfiction space, a Readathon, so I'm taking part in that readathon each year. And then I also have a 24 books in 2024 cards, so if I land on that space, then I would draw one of those cards from my list. I have TBR jar, which is my fun little trash can that I pull books from. Book club books, so any book clubs that or read-alongs that I'm taking part in, I will draw from those, or I will choose a book from one of those. I have a classic space. I have my Amazon borrows, which is what I call them. They're prime reading. You get 10 free ebooks at a time, and so I would choose from one of those 10 books. I have my Our Fantasy Bingo, so I would choose a list from the prompts that I still need to fulfill, and then my special editions, so I will pull a card out of my special editions jar for that. So that's a quick little review of the board, and then I have my 2024, my rewards, my non-reading prompts, my odd, my even, and my series cards. So how did I do in August, and how many books do I still need to read before September? Let's find out. Roll number 1, I got 24 and 24, and that was to read The Sleeper and the Spindle by Neil Gaiman, which I did finish. Roll number 2, I landed on classic, and that was to read Crime and Punishment by Fyodor Dostoevsky, and I did read that. Roll number 3 was an odd card, and that was to read a priority read, and I chose Snuff by Terry Pratchett, which is the 39th book in the Discworld series, and I did read that. Roll number 4 was an odd card, and that was to read a book with sprayed edges, and I read The Fangs of War by E.J. Doble, and this is the first book in the Blood and Steel saga, and it does have these beautiful sprayed edges. So nice. I did finish that. Next was another odd card, and that was to do a TBR game someone else's TBR game. And for that, I did Lord of the Reeds. I read The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers, the first book in the Wayfarer series, and I loved that one. Roll number 5 was an even, and that was to read a physical book. And for this one, I used my reward prompt of being able to double up on prompts, and so I read The Fangs of War by E.J. Doble for that one. Next was another odd card, and that was to read a big book, over 500 pages. And for that, I chose Nightfall by David Estes. This is the fourth book in the Kingfall History series, and I have not yet read this one. I'm hoping to be able to finish it, but I should be able to fly through it because they're so good. But I have not read that one yet. Next was another odd card, and that was a 5-star prediction. And for that, I chose Of War and Ruin by Ryan Cahill, which is the 3rd book in the Bound of the Broken series, and I did read that. It was amazing. Next, another even card, and that was to read the next in a series, and for that, I am currently reading Camp Half-Blood Confidential, and it's super short. I am 45% of the way through, so I will definitely have this one finished by the end of the month. Next, I landed on D20, and I rolled a 7, and I got Shadow Song by S.J. Jones, and this is the 2nd book in the Winter Song duology, and I finished that one this morning. Next up was another odd card, and that was a most recent purchase, and the day I did this, I had just purchased A Tempest of Tea by Hafsa Faizal, and I did read that. Next up, another odd card, and that was a TBR jar pick, and for that one, I chose Suspending Reality, and that is by Chrissy Peoples, and this is the first book in 5 different series that are written by Chrissy Peoples, and I did complete the entire box set. Which, I mean, if I would have just read the first book, I probably would have had more time and would already have finished some of these other ones, but no, I read the whole box set, so there we go. And last roll for August was a even, and that was to read a cozy book. And for that, I am currently reading A Natural History of Dragons by Marie Brennan, and this is the first book in the Memoirs of Lady Trent. And I am enjoying it so far. I'm not very far into it. I think I am on chapter 5. So I'm here. So I still got this much to go, but enjoying it very much. It's been super fun so far. So technically there's only 1 book I haven't read yet, and there's 2 books that I am currently reading. So I should be able to finish my TBR by the end of August, but you never know. I'm gonna say that I will not complete my TBR by the end of the month. So instead of saying I will complete or won't complete my TBR for August, I'm just gonna call it a pass, because I may complete it, but I most likely won't, but I may, but I might not. So I'm just gonna call it a pass and make it kind of neutral, but also to kind of play fair, I'm going to use one of my previous rewards that I've been holding on to that says skip next punishment, and so I will just take a pass and we'll call it a draw, and we're good to go for September, all nice and clean, kind of like a starting over. And I also do still have a free re-roll if I choose to use that at some point, either in this game or in a future game. So let's see how many rolls I will be getting this month. And I did use my double up on prompt reward from last time, so I will put that at the bottom of the pile. Let's roll, see what we get. 17. 17 it is. All right, so I got 17 rolls, not too bad. I was kind of assuming I would end up getting 20 just because that's how my luck has been with the rolls lately. But I got 17, so that's doable. We got quite a few readathons for September, so we'll need quite a few books. Let's just get right on into roll number 1. All right, I've got my TBR jar trash can ready to go. I have my Kickstarter jar ready to go in case I need those. I got my 2 6-sided die. Let's get started. Roll number 1 of 17. We've got 3. 1, 2, 3. So that is an odd number, so I get an odd card. And that is a dice roll roulette, which is perfect because this is a prompt for the magical readathon. For roll number 1, I got an odd card, and that was a dice roll roulette. And what this means is I roll a 6-sided die, and whatever that number is equates to a certain amount of pages in a book. And this also happens to be a prompt for the magical readathon, so I'm just going to go with G's suggested page counts for each of the numbers. And so then I did my dice roll. All right, so I need to roll 1 6-sided die, and depending on what number I get, that is how many pages the book needs to have. 3. So it needs to be from 301 to 400 pages. And I got a 3. So that means I need to read a book that is between 301 pages and 400 pages, which shouldn't be too hard. And for that, I decided to continue one of the series that I read in August, and that is A Closed and Common Orbit by Becky Chambers, and this is the second book in the Wayfarers series. I loved the first book, A Long Way to a Small Angry Planet, which of course I just returned to my library this morning, and I loved all the characters. I loved everything about the book. I thought it was great, so I am very excited to continue on with the series, and that is 365 pages long. Roll number 2 of 17. We have 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Another odd card. A Goodreads Choice winner. Roll number 2 of 17. That was another odd card, and that was a Goodreads Choice winner. For this one, I went with Saga Volume 6. Of course, I have to try and get some short books on my TBR, but so many readathons going on, I need to make sure I have some short books that fit all of the readathons as well as my TBR. So Saga Volume 6 by Brian K. Vaughan, and I'm very excited to continue with this series. All right, roll 3 of 17. 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. An even card. Read a poem. Roll number 3 of 17 was an even card, and that is to read a poem. And for that, I decided to read The Phoenix and the Turtle by William Shakespeare. Roll 4 of 17. 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Another odd card. Most anticipated read. Roll 4 of 17 was another odd card left over from Becca's BuJopoly, and that is a most anticipated read, and for that I will be reading Claws and Inferno by Kyoko M, and this one is the 5th book in the Of Cinder and Bone series, so the only book left is a novella that comes after this one, and I am so excited to kind of get the conclusion of the story. I have loved this series so much. Every book that I've read has gotten between 4 and 5 stars. So good, and I can't wait to keep reading. Very excited for this one. Roll 5 of 17. 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Another even card. First in a series. Roll 5 of 17. And that was another even card, and that is to read the first book in a series. And this one is actually from a Kindle haul that I got of a bunch of lit RPG books. And this one sounded quite exciting, and that is The Legend of the Phoenix Resurgence. And this is by Joel Poe. And this is the first book in the Eternal Grind series. And I'm super excited to give this one a try. And I think it's kind of funny when you get just like the little smaller icon of the book, and it's different than the cover when you bring up the book. Very interesting. Roll 6 of 17. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Odd card. A friend pick. Roll 6 of 17, and that was another odd card, and for this it is a friend pick. And for this I had my hubby pick out a book for me. I did give him a list of 4 books for him to choose one from and didn't really tell much about them. I basically gave the name of the book and then the genre of it. And out of those, he did like the name of one of the books, and one of the others he was like, doesn't sound too interesting. The other one was like, maybe, but this one he's like, well, if I was gonna read one of these books, this is the one that sounds the most intriguing. And he chose Katana of Trust by A.C. Ward, and this is the first book in the Kami Prophecy. And I mean, fantasy book about samurais, like, yes, sign me up. So he's very excited about this one, so I need to tell him all about it when I'm done reading. Roll 7 of 17. Cruising along pretty good here. 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Perfect. Our fantasy bingo. Roll 7 of 17. I landed on our fantasy bingo, which is great because I need to read some more books for that one. And I went with A River Enchanted by Rebecca Ross. And this is the first book in the Elements of Cadence series. I've heard good and neutral things about this book. Nothing like not good, but some meh. It was nice, and then others that just rave about it. So I'm interested to see which direction I'm gonna go after reading this one. Hitting all the good spots. I roll 8 of 17. 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Even card. A business book. Roll number 8 of 17. I got another even card, and that was to read a business book. And it took me a little bit to figure out which one I want to read. So I do have right up here, I have some business books that I haven't read yet. And there's a couple that I actually found the audiobook for as well. So I have Crucial Conversations, which is a good one, and it's not real long. But again, my brain went something shorter where I can digest and absorb the information without rushing through it, but also that's not going to bog me down for how many books I'm going to need to read for September. So I decided to go into Hoopla and see what business books were available that were under 5 hours. So good information, but short and concise. And for that I chose Eat That Frog by Brian Tracy. And this is a term that I've heard lots of different ways. So eat frog first thing in the morning, it's kind of attributed to Mark Twain. But also Stephen Covey has the one where you put the big rocks in first and then the medium rocks and then put all the little rocks on top and they fall into the gaps that you have. So it's basically do the hardest thing first in the day, and then it's also kind of like The One Thing. That's another book that I've read as well. But it's do the hard thing first so you can get it out of the way, and then the rest of the day is a lot easier. I'm interested to see Brian Tracy's take on that concept. Roll 9 of 17. I was just about to say the board is being unusually kind and doubles, so we add an 18th book. All right, 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Even card. Ooh, a gothic book. Made up for itself a little bit there. Roll 9 of 17. Yep, I knew a double was gonna come. I knew a double was coming, so let's get it out of the way and be done with it. So now we have 9 of 18 books. Not too bad. Still doable. Not freaking out. So that's good. It's better than having 20 to start and then now making it 21. So 18 isn't too bad. But we ended up with an even card, and that is to read a gothic book, which is one of my favorite genres, especially gothic horror. So good. Love them. And there's a book that I want to read for the 52 book club prompts, and it fits this prompt as well. And that book is actually part of Edgar Allan Poe's collected works that I have on my Kindle, and that is The Fall of the House of Usher. I am amazed I have not read this yet, and I do want to watch the TV series, so I'm interested in that. But for the 52 book club, you read a book and then a retelling of that book, and so then I would like to read What Moves the Dead by T. Kingfisher and knock off 2 prompts from the 52 book club readathon. So The Fall of the House of Usher by Edgar Allan Poe. All right, roll 10 now of 18. 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. A non-reading prompt. Crafty Doghouse. This is where my mom and my aunt go to do all of their crafty, quilty things. So sewing, scrapbooking, quilting, crafting, all of that fun stuff. Maybe I will make a couple of things with them for Christmas presents. That would be kind of fun. Prompt 10 of 18. Well, hey, we're back down to only 17 books because I landed on a non-reading prompt. And for that, it's the Crafty Doghouse. So that basically means that I will be doing some type of craft project with either my mom or my aunt or my mom and my aunt. And that will be super fun. When I was growing up, my great-grandma's house, they had like a little room in the back that was small that all of us kids got to go play in, and that was called the dog house. And so that was just kind of a special name. But this one has a specific purpose other than like an all-purpose room and a place for the kids to congregate and sleep in and get out of the parents' hair. And they do a lot of crafts in there, so it's the Crafty Doghouse. I'll be doing some type of craft in September, which will be super fun, and spending time with family. All right, roll 11 of 18. Oh, more doubles. That's all right, because it's a magical readathon. We already know we're gonna have a bunch of books. So 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, even card. A random letter generator. Well, TBRopoly was like, wait, what? No, you can't have the same amount of books as whatever you originally rolled, so let's give you another double. So back to 18 books, 19 rolls. Roll 11 of 19 was another even card, and that was a random letter generator. For TBRopoly, I need to do a random letter generator, and it came up with P when I brought up the website, so that's not the choice. Let's go ahead and push the button. H. I need to find a book that starts with an H. And for that, I chose Hex Life, Wicked New Tales of Witchery. And that's put together by Christopher Golden, and it's a short story collection. So that will be kind of interesting. And again, not the biggest fan of short stories, but I've heard some good things and it fit the prompt. So we're going with it. Roll 12 of now 19. I knew things were going too good. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 24 and 24. Perfect. The Heart of the Bloodstone. Oh, that is funny. So I started making a list of things I wanted to try and read in September. And The Heart of the Bloodstone, right there, is one of them. That's awesome. My game knew. Prompt 12 of 19 now, and I landed on 24 in 2024, and for that I got The Heart of the Bloodstone. And this is the first book in the Stone Tribes series by Felina Wood, and I'm kind of interested. I mean, like, this cover, that's stunning. Is that like some kind of sea dragon, sea serpent or something? And who's this dude that's like just hanging out there? What's he doing? Is he like commanding it? Is he trying to befriend it? Is he trying to stalk it? Like, what's happening? I want to know more. So I'm excited about this one, and I will let you know what I think when I'm done. Roll 13 of 19. 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Odd card. A buddy read. Roll 13 of 19. I got another odd card, and that is to do a buddy read. And for this one, I have a couple of different options. One of them is Raising Steam. So if I don't get to this one in August, I can use this one for the Around the Disc read-along. I can use this for the buddy read. Or if I finish that one, I could do Knife of Dreams by Robert Jordan, which is the 10th 10th or 11th book. The 11th book in the Wheel of Time series, because those are both read-alongs, so definitely buddy read material. But if I actually do finish both of those in August, then I will read Quicksilver by Callie Hart, and this is the first book in the Fae and Alchemy series, and this is the book club book for the BuJo Buddies book club with Jashi Curran. And the cover is very intriguing. Roll 14 of 19. 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Odd card. Ooh, a Kickstarter book. Now, I don't have Jade City in here yet since I just unboxed that, but we'll see what we get. I was trying my hand at doing the little star origami. They turned out okay. Not amazing. So which one do I want? This one. That one didn't turn out too bad. It's a little funky shaped, but not too bad. Okay, let's see if I can figure out how to unfold these. Aha, there it is. Does not want to unfold itself. Ah, there it is. We'll just go ahead and rip that. Okay. So this does say Dead Stars Part 2. Now this is book 4 in a series, and I've only read book 1, so that means I do need to read book 2 first, and then I will need to tape this back together and put it back in there. Roll 14 of 19. I got another odd card, and that was to read a Kickstarter book. And for that I pulled out Dead Stars Part 2 by Ben Galley. Now, I don't have this book yet because we have not gotten, that Kickstarter's not done yet. They're still in the process of everything. But it's also the 4th book in the series, and I've only read the first book in the series so far, which was The Written, and I loved it, gave it 5 stars. Great start to a series. But the second book in the series is Pale Kings. And so that's what I'm going to go ahead and read since I don't have the other ones yet. I jumped into the Kickstarter late. They had already had one for the first couple of books, but if you jumped into the 4th one, there was an option to get all 4 of the books, so I went with that. But I do have the entire collection on my Kindle, so I will be reading Pale Kings by Ben Galley, the second book in the Emaneska series. All right, roll 15 of 19. Getting close. 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Even card. Feed scroll. So this one I will go through my Goodreads feed, and the first book that I own or can get from my library that I have not read yet I will use for this prompt. Roll 15 of 19. Even card, and that is a feed scroll. So you need to go into some type of a social media and scroll through until you find a book that you have not read yet. My stipulations for that is I need to either own it or be able to get it from my library. I don't want to purchase a book just for the feed scroll prompt. So I do need to either be able to access it somewhere from my library or I already have it. And so here is my Storygraph feed scroll. So I went to my Storygraph page and to the community tab, and let's go ahead and see if there's anything that I can read. Got some of the books I'm currently reading in there. I've read all of those. Finished those already. Another one I finished. There's a couple of these. Oh, here we go. So, Winter by Marissa Meyer. So I actually haven't started this series, but I could start with Cinder and start the first book in the series. I think I'm gonna do that. So thank you, Jody, for reading Winter. And as you can see, someone is reading the Lunar Chronicles, so thank you, Jody, for this one. And I have not read any of the books in that series yet, and of course, since Lunar is not the first book in the series, I will actually read the first book in the series, which is Cinder by Marissa Meyer, and which is, of course, the first book in the Lunar Chronicles very excited about this one. I've heard some great things, and it's sci-fi and fantasy and a retelling. Ticks a whole lot of my boxes. That prompts are starting to get a little bit harder now. Roll 16 of 19. 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. NetGalley book. So I will go through the NetGalley books that I have available to me and choose one to read. Roll 16 of 19. And for that, I landed on one of my newer spaces to the board, and that was NetGalley. And again, this one I was looking for more of an audiobook, although there's some ebooks in there I really want to read. This was a tough choice. I spent a good half an hour just trying to figure out which of these books I wanted to read, but I also had the realistic part of my brain saying it needs to be short, something on the short side. You can always come back to some of these and read them later, because Celestial Academy is calling my name and I really want to read that one, but we'll come back to that one later. I chose Do Bigger Things, and that is a practical guide to powerful innovation in a changing world. And this is by Dan McClure and Jennifer Wild. And of course, this also fit a prompt for my magical readathon classes, so that kind of also determined a little bit what book I chose. But I'm excited to get into this one. I just think this book sounds like it's going to be interesting, and hopefully I will be able to pick up some good tips from it. Roll 17 of 19. Now this would have been our last roll, but we got a couple doubles. 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. A to Z challenge, which is good. I'm doing really good on my A to Z challenge, but I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 books I still need to read. And those random letters that are hard to find, you know, like Q and Z and X. Luckily, I did find books that will work for all of them, so maybe I'll go with the Z one, because I think that one's actually another zombie book, though. We'll see what I decide. Roll 17 of 19. I landed on A to Z challenge, which is great because I do have some hard letters left, like J and Q and X and Z, which always seem to be some of the last books left. It surprises me that there aren't more J books out there, or that I just don't read a lot of books that start with a J, because I feel like there would be a lot. I don't know. It doesn't seem that obscure a letter to me. But that is the letter I decided to go with, and I'm going to be reading, yes, with all my talk of trying to get as many short books as possible, I'm going to be reading Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, or is it Norrell? 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 Which way do you say it? Let me know. Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell by Susanna Clark. And yes, I know, it's 900 to 1,000 pages long. I think the copy that I have, the copy that my library has, is like 900 and something odd pages, so yes. But that is also a book club pick for the month. So why not put it on my TBR? Yeah. Yeah, I'm seeing a punishment in my future for October. We'll see. Okay, moving on. Roll 18 of 19. Almost to the end. Another 6. Although that one jumped the plate. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Even card. Shadow Magic. I'm pretty sure I've had that prompt recently, and I read the first book in the series, so I should be on the second book in the series. Okay, so Shadow Magic is a set of 6 first books in a series, kind of like Suspending Reality was, and I have read the first book in the series, so this would be the second book in that set, box set. Roll 18 of 19, almost done. I got an even card, and that was to read Shadow Magic. So Shadow Magic is a box set of 5 or 6 different first books in series by different authors. And I read the first one, which was Huntress Born by Amy Easterling last year, I believe. And so now I am on the second book in that set, and that is Beyond the Veil by Pippa DaCosta. And I don't really know what any of these books are about, but I will find out this month, and then I will let you know. Roll 19 of 19. 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Odd card. A small book under 300 pages. Perfect. Finally, my last roll 19 of 19, and actually I feel like TBRopoly was somewhat nice to me. It gave me 2 doubles, but 1 non-reading prompt, so only 18 books, and it could have been a lot worse. Kind of like April when I had like 26 books on my TBR or something like that, something insane, 23, yeah. So it could have been a lot worse, so I'm okay with it. But my last roll was an odd card, and that was to read a small book under 300 pages. So very nice. Thank you, TBRopoly, for being kinder than you needed to be. And for this one, so when I read Crime and Punishment, when I put that one on my TBR, I did have a comment from someone that said they would like to see more books from some of the countries surrounding Russia, and I asked for some recommendations, and I am taking them up on their recommendation because it's this book, there were a couple of them sounded really good. I apologize for any mispronunciation. So this is a Ukrainian author, and it is Sweet Daryusia, and that is by Maria Matios. I believe that's how you say it. And this is a dive into the Ukrainian culture, and it sounds like it's in a non-chronological order. So it'll be kind of interesting. It sounds like it may jump back and forth between present and past. And I am actually looking forward to reading a little bit more about a culture that I don't really know anything about. So I am excited, and thank you so much for the suggestion. Alright, Catch Up Book Club. I believe we just finished the last of the Joe Abercrombie First Law World books. We're not going to read the other 2 books that I think were in that world. Maybe they're not. It's kind of another short story collection, so we're not doing that one. So we're done with that. And I have not heard anything about what the next batch of books are going to be. So I don't know if we're taking September off and then starting back up again in October, or if we're taking the rest of the year off and starting in January. Haven't heard yet, so nothing for the Catch Up Book Club. For BuJo Buddies, we are reading Quicksilver by Callie Hart, and this is the first book in the Fae and Alchemy series, and again, still intrigued, and I was glad I got it on my TBR as well. For Discworld, we are reading Raising Steam by Terry Pratchett, which is the 40th book in the Discworld series, and if for some reason I do finish this one in August, then I will pick up Mrs. Bradshaw's Handbook, and that is the book 40.5 in this series, so it comes between the 40th and 41st book. And so if for some reason I finish Raising Steam, I will pick that one up instead. For Wheel of Time, we are on Knife of Dreams, the 11th book in the Wheel of Time series by Robert Jordan, which I will most likely, maybe, I might get to in August. If not, then I will put it on my September TBR. And then for the Game of Tomes book club, we are reading Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell by Susanna Clark, and that is the book for September and October. So you have 2 months to read it for most everybody else, but I will be trying to read it in 1 month because I put it on my TBRopoly prompts. It's okay. You can laugh at me for choosing such a large book for such a busy month, but that's okay. Plus I have handbells starting up, both groups, so yeah, I'll have less time to read too. Yeah, I don't think I thought this through very well, but I'm going to stay positive. I will finish all of my books. I will finish all my books. Readathons. Let's start with the year-long Readathons. Right now there's just the one, which is Buzzwordathon by Kayla from Books and Lala. And for September, the prompt is senses. So things that you can sense. So it could be hands, it could be touch, it could be sight, it could be eyes, it could be a nose or smell, it could be a mouth or talking. So not the things that you sense, but the actual sensing. For that, I will be reading A Touch of Darkness by Scarlett St. Clair. And this is the first book in the Hades and Persephone's series. All right, for the month-long readathons. There's a lot. And not all these books are on my TBRopoly either. Yeah. Of course, we have the magical Readathon with the amazing G at Book Roast. We also have a Sufferathon with Pages with Paige. We have the Goddess Readathon by Beatrice's Book Nook. We have Seasonathon with Completely Melanie. And we have the seasonal spooky challenge with Covers with Cassidy. This one at least is a 3-month readathon, so you don't have to get it all done in September. But so this video isn't 2 hours long because of all of the prompts that are part of all of these readathons. I will do a separate video for my readathons and have that up shortly after this one. So stay tuned. TBRopoly will continue with readathons to come. So thank you so much for joining me today, and please like, comment, and subscribe if you want it, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any other videos from me. And if you made it to the end, leave a dice emoji in the comments to let me know that you are here. And until next time, keep reading. Bye!